Hey everyone, Merry Christmas for all those who celebrate, even if you are in part of the world or a religion that doesn't celebrate Christmas. Hope you're going to have a good new year. You're spending time with family and all that. Today I have a interesting story. It's been pretty big in the auto industry news for a bit of time, but I haven't talked about it on the channel. But I've been talking about it a lot with people I know in the auto industry, as well as friends who are into cars, enthusiasts, things like that. And that's the merger between Honda and Nissan, and what that means for the larger auto industry, consumers, dealerships, things like that. So this is a story that appeared in the Associated Press that I thought I would just quickly read through and give my thoughts. So, what a merger between Nissan and Honda means for the automakers and the industry. This is by Elaine Kurtenbach. I believe that's how you pronounce her last name. If you see this, Elaine, and that's not how to pronounce it, just let me know. Anyway, Japanese automakers Honda and Nissan will attempt to merge and create the world's third largest automaker by sales as the industry undergoes dramatic changes in its transition away from fossil fuels. The two companies said they had signed a memorandum of understanding on Monday, and that smaller Nissan alliance member Mitsubishi Motors also had agreed to join the talks on integrating their businesses. Honda will initially lead the new management, retaining the principles and brands of each company. Following is a quick look at what a combined Honda and Nissan would mean for the companies and for the auto industry. So, first off, my initial take when I heard this is it's a big mistake for Honda. And the reason is that Nissan and Mitsubishi are nowhere near the quality that Honda makes. Most people don't know this, but Honda is responsible for making the most popular motor vehicle of all time, which isn't a vehicle. It's actually the Honda Cub Scout scooter. I believe they sold something like 60 or 70 million of those because they built bulletproof motors on these scooters, and they were very popular in Asia and other developing countries. And Honda is just known for their engineering prowess, which honestly, Nissan and Mitsubishi, yeah, they make decent cars and they sell millions of them, and they've been around for years. They're just nowhere near the quality of Honda. So integrating that into Honda's probably engineering culture is a mistake in my mind. An industry shakeup. The ascent of Chinese automakers are rattling the industry at a time when manufacturers are struggling to shift from fossil fuel driven vehicles to electrics. Relatively inexpensive EVs from China's BYD, Great Wall, and NIO are eating into the market shares of US and Japanese car companies in China and elsewhere. Japanese automakers have lagged behind big rivals in EVs, are now trying to cut costs and make up for lost time. So yeah, that is the big concern, is that all these automakers need to invest in EV technology, and how do they compete with the Chinese? Now, Nissan's already had a head start on this with their Leaf, which has been a fairly popular low cost EV electric car model that's done pretty well. And I actually know several people that have bought Leafs and they've been very happy with them. The only disadvantage to the Leaf is that the battery, like any electric vehicle, has a certain say range, and that range diminishes obviously the more the battery is used, and eventually the battery isn't that usable because it will have a very short range as it gets used more, and obviously replacing the battery is very expensive. But that's not just a problem the Nissan Leaf has had. That's a problem all these EVs have had. So probably the thinking at Honda is that they see that Nissan's ahead in the EV game, and maybe they can integrate that tech with their engineering capabilities. Nissan, Honda, and Mitsubishi announced in August that they will share components for electric vehicles like batteries and jointly research software for autonomous driving to adapt better to dramatic changes in the auto industry centered around electrification. A preliminary agreement between Honda, Japan's second largest automaker, and Nissan, third largest, was announced in March. A merger could result in a behemoth worth about $55 billion based on the market capitalization of all three automakers. Joining forces would help the smaller Japanese automakers add scale to compete with Japan's market leader Toyota Motor Corporation and Germany's Volkswagen AG. Toyota itself has technology partnerships with Japan's Mazda Motor Corporation and Subaru Corporation. Yeah, so that's basically where this is coming from. They are trying to share development costs and essentially lower their R&D for new electric vehicles and basically any vehicles, because the more you're able to buy more parts, or certain services, the better you can essentially get deals. So yeah, what would Honda need from Nissan? Nissan has truck-based body-on-frame large SUVs such as the Armada and Infiniti QX80 that Honda doesn't have, with large towing capacities and good off-road performance, said Sam Fiorina, vice president of Auto Forecast Solutions. Nissan also has years of experience building batteries in electric vehicles and gas-electric hybrid powertrains that could help Honda in developing its own EVs and next generations of hybrids, he said. Nissan does have some product segments where Honda does currently play that a merger or partnership could help, said Sam Abulsmedid. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, I'm sorry. A Detroit area automotive industry analyst. While Nissan's electric Leaf and Aria have sold well in the US, they're solid vehicles, Furman said. They haven't been resting on their laurels, and they've been developing this technology, he said. They have new products coming that could provide a good platform for Honda for its next generation. Yeah, exactly like I said. Honda's thinking that Nissan has good EV tech, which they do, and they've been, thanks to Carlos Ghosn, they've been working on EVs, mass market EVs, for a long time. Now, when the Leaf came out, most people don't realize that was like a big deal because it was a low cost electric car. I believe it was priced around 30 grand. Um, if you want to leave a comment, I don't quite remember what the price of the Nissan Leaf was and when it originally came out. So if someone wants to remind me, that would be great. But yeah, it was a low cost electric car that had decent range, wasn't great, but it got you to point A to point B. And now Nissan is ahead of the game, and Honda is thinking they want to use that tech. So why now? Nissan said last month that it was slashing 9,000 jobs, or about 6% of its global workforce, and reducing global production capacity by 20% after reporting a quarterly loss of 9.3 billion yen. That's $61 million. I never understood, when I was in Japan, I never understood why the yen, it's like, oh, I need 100,000 yen to buy this. And I'm like, it's like, a meal or something. And it's just, I don't know if that conversion is right, but I mean, yeah, the numbers are just weird. Yeah, so 93 billion yen is 61 million US dollars. Earlier this month, it reshuffled its management, and its chief executive, Makoto Yoshida, took a 50% pay cut to take responsibility for the financial woes, saying Nissan needed to become more efficient with some better to market tastes, rising costs, and other global changes. Well, that's pretty cool of him. Obviously, Carlos Tavares, who's kind of a turd sandwich, was getting paid 40 million to ruin Stellantis and all the brands under that: Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Fiat, Alfa Romeo, I think Volvo as well. Yeah, he's totally ruined all that. Fitch Ratings recently downgraded Nissan's credit outlook to negative, citing worsening profitability, partly due to price cuts in the North American market. But note that it has a strong financial structure and solid cash reserves that amount to 1.44 trillion yen, 9.4 billion. Yeah, nobody cares what Fitch Ratings cares about. They said that the back in some people probably don't remember this, but yeah, back in like '07, they said that all these credit default swaps and these mortgage-backed securities were a buy when they were totally worthless. Nissan's share price has fallen to the point where it is considered something of a bargain. A report in the Japanese financial magazine Diamond said talks with Honda gained urgency after the Taiwan maker of iPhones, Hon-Hai Precision Industry Corp, better known as Foxconn, began exploring a possible acquisition of Nissan as part of its push into the EV sector. The company has struggled for years following a scandal that began with the arrest of its former chairman, Carlos Ghosn, in the late 2018 on charges of fraud and misuse of company assets, allegations that he denies. He eventually was released on bail and fled to Lebanon. Yeah, it's a whole crazy story that I won't get into, but uh, there's a very interesting story about how he got out of the country. A former special forces soldier and his son got him out. But yeah, we could that could be a story I could talk about all day. Honda reported its profits slipped nearly 20% in the first half of the April-March fiscal year from a year earlier as sales suffered in China. More headwinds. Toyota made 11.5 million vehicles in 2023, while Honda rolled out 4 million and Nissan produced 3.4 million. Mitsubishi Motors made just over 1 million. Even after a merger, Toyota would remain the leading Japanese automaker. Yeah, so as you can see, tallying those numbers, uh, Nissan, Honda, and Mitsubishi, they still are going to be about, you know, what's that, four, yeah, eight. It's going to be 8 million ish, almost 8.5 million, maybe. I'd imagine the next count they would do, 8.4, but, if they're making a little more cars. And that gives them more power for, like I said, sharing engineering costs, sharing engineering resources, sharing IP, and all of that. Now, on the face of it, that sounds good. I just don't see Honda's quality staying where it is if they have to share with Nissan and Mitsubishi. And I'd be very interested to know what other people think about that, because Hondas and Toyotas are considered the top in terms of reliability and the quality of their parts. Not only that, but my opinion is that Hondas, Toyotas, I guess I would include Mazdas and Subarus, are typically the best cars to get, buy, and own. And the reason is not only because of their reliability, but they're fairly easy to work on and get parts for, at least in my experience. Now, Honda and Toyotas would be at the top of the list, and Mazda, like I said, and Subaru kind of be in second place. Now, I've heard of tons of issues with Nissans, and I haven't personally heard too much about Mitsubishis, but I would just imagine they're not the same quality. Granted, 3.4 million vehicles a year and 1 million vehicles is still a lot if you think about all the complexities of building a vehicle. All the global automakers are facing potential shocks if President-elect Donald Trump falls through on threats to raise or impose tariffs on imports of foreign products. Even allies like Japan and neighboring countries like Canada and Mexico. Nissan is among the major car companies that have adjusted their supply chains to include vehicles assembled in Mexico. Meanwhile, analysts say there's an affordability shift taking place across the industry, led by people who feel they cannot afford to pay nearly $50,000 for a new vehicle. I mean, seriously, when you consider the average, I believe the average wage in the US of a salary is about 50,000 a year. Vehicles going up to 50,000 a year new is just insane. In American, a vital market for companies like Nissan, Honda, and Toyota that's forcing automakers to consider lowering pricing, which will eat further into industry profits. Yeah. So yeah, I don't see this working out for Honda. I'd be curious what people think. This is another article that ran about it, but also by Elaine Kirkbach. But yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, is Honda and Nissan merging and Mitsubishi merging? Is that a good idea? Can they share costs and resources, or is that going to probably end badly and be like the Time Warner AOL merger, which was a total disaster if people remember that one? But anyway, again, if you like the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. If you guys have any suggestions, I've gotten some emails um, that have constructive feedback. Love to get those. Helps me improve in the future. If you have comments about the merger, just leave them below. And hope to see you in the next video.